Hey everyone, welcome to the video. I'm here to do an analysis on, I don't know, like 5 or 6 different assets here. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. My Streamlabs is acting a little funny, but I think we'll get it where it needs to be. All right, so the normal disclaimers. This is not financial advice. Anything I say should be considered my own personal opinion on the market. So I guess what I'm going to start off with here is Engine Coin. This is a shout out to Byzantine on the server. Was talking about this earlier, and we're looking at this on maybe like a 5 or a 15-minute time frame, and it looks like things are really starting to break out, and the volume here actually isn't all that bad. We have a little bit of an uptick in volume. If we don't take into account this this large amount of volume that we have down here, things do look like they are on the way up. So again, I'm going to go back to a 2-hour time frame on this. And by the way, I'm planning on spending between 5 and 7 minutes on each one of these, and you can see the list. I'm not going to be going through Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Chainlink. I already did Chainlink. And I'll be doing Bitcoin and Ethereum separately, but I'm going to move my way down this list. So about every 5 or 7 minutes, if you want to skip through one, I'm going to start with Engine Coin. I'm going to go to Holochain, then Cardano, IOTA, NANO, and then last but not least, I'll be talking a little bit about Ripple. So again, we're about a minute and a half in, so about every 6 or 7 minutes on the video, then you should be able to get to something new here. So I'll spend just a couple minutes here talking about Engine Coin. The first thing I do want to point out is the Stokes on the 12-hour are pretty low, which does indicate that we are bottoming a little bit. On the 2-hour chart, things are starting to look a little bit like they're going into the bullish territory. Right now we're sitting in the neutral zone, but we do have sort of a break on some of these some of these highs that we previously had. So we created a new high, even though this is on a shorter time frame. We did kind of break up above that, which could indicate that we are going higher. But if we take the same angle on this, we can show that we don't have potentially much farther to go on this move. What I would like to see on this, go back to my handy dandy little drawing tool here, what I would like to see is another test of this 5938 level, and I'm on the tether trading pair. I'd like for it to come back down here and test that and then move its way back up. So as far as targets and things go, I don't really want to talk too much and get too in the weeds on what targets might look like for this, but some resistance levels that I do want to caution you to are the ones that I've outlined here in red. And if I go to a 3-hour time frame, it's going to look a little bit better here. So we can see there's a lot of consolidation happening here between 68.15 and 74.31, and this is on the tether trading pair, so about 6.8 cents to 7.4 cents. Lots of trading was happening in this area, and lots of trading was happening in this area. We had lots of resistance, so we can call this, searching for liquidity. We had lots of resistance here, resistance up in this area as well, and then finally we broke through it. We found support here, but then we have resistance that was formed here that took us down lower back into this same range. So it would make sense from a mean reversion standpoint that these areas where we have high amounts of volume, it makes sense for us to gravitate back to these levels. It doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be what happens, because this has been on a downtrend for quite some time. We can see this if we take a look at this. We had let me lock that in. Okay, so we had lots of resistance here, right? And then we found a breakthrough, and then we have down here where we had sort of our support that took us up higher, right? And so now we're sort of moving sideways in a little bit of consolidation. We did have a little bit of a lower low right here, but there was a decent reaction off of it. So as we're starting to work our way down here, I would expect us to curl back up and go to these zones right here. Now, where we land is really going to be indicative of where we're going next. So right now, there's a few things that I can see here. I can see this 123.6, which is sitting here at 8 cents, slightly above 8 cents. This could be a trap, right? So this could be indicative of an ABC correction. So starting all the way down here where we had 4.8 cents, moving our way up, so that would be our A, down here to our B. We still have a long way to go to this C if we're able to get up that high. Our high probability zones are right here at 6.7 cents. That's a 61.8% retrace. That would be a good ABC right here. It also coincides with where I was finding some of our resistance. So we had, a decent bounce there. We broke through, came up, found support there again. We had resistance here, we had support, we had consolidation, we broke through. So this is just a level, and here as of recent, as of mid-September, we had support there. So I would expect it to be resistance as it was once already. So if we're able to come back up here, I would definitely be looking to take profit in this zone. So right there at about 6.8 cents, which if you're looking at things from, let's say you get in right now at 5.8 cents, you're looking at that as a potential, looks like a 16, 17% move for even from where we're at right now. If I were to take a stop loss, it'd be very easy for me to say that your stop loss should be right here at the swing low. And that swing low is going to be sitting right at about 5.4 cents. So we're at 5.8 cents. You're talking about less than 1 cent. So it's not a whole lot there. But that's what I'm looking at for Engine Coin. So we've got lots of areas for us to be looking at for taking profit. So right here at 6.8 cents, I would take profit again at 7.5 cents. I would take my last bit of profit at 8 cents. So if you're getting in right here, take 33%, 33%, 33%, or you could take 25, 25, 25. The last 25, your absolute last level to be looking at is right at 8.9 cents. I don't think it'll get all the way up to 9 cents. That is almost 100% from where it's at 5.8 cents. It's probably about more like 80% from where we're currently at. So going from about 5.8 cents, moving my way up. I've got my wrong tool here. Let's do this again, then we'll move on to the next coin. All right, so if we get all the way up there, that's 53% from where we're currently at right now. So, that's a decent move if we're able to get up that high. But again, I would be looking to take profit in these levels. Again, looking at 6.8 cents, looking again at about 7.5 cents or so. Your last area right there at 8 cents. Then maybe set your. I hate using the term moon bags. That's such a it's such a degrading term to use, but you leave a little bit on the table for just in case this does happen to take off a little bit. And don't kill yourself if you take some profit and it goes higher. Don't kill yourself, right? Because nobody ever lost money taking profit, and eventually you're going to get to the point where you're just like, you know what, I'm never going to sell because it's just going to keep going up, and then people get euphoric, and then what happens? The price just dies. Take profit. No harm in taking profit, and then you can go ahead and reaccumulate if you'd like as it moves down. If you really like this and you understand the market and you want to keep investing in it, that's fine. That's up to you. But yeah, look to accumulate. That's going to be the name of the game on our next coin. So we're at the 8-minute mark. I'm going to start talking about Holochain. As you all know, I've been looking at Holochain. We blew through with the target that I was looking for, and and actually the nice thing about it is I didn't sell. So here I am. I need to practice what I preach. Yesterday I was looking at this live on the server, and we were talking about taking profit at 10,000, or actually 0.001 cents. Or 1/10 of a penny rather, but I didn't do that. But now I am to the point where I am taking profit. We've talked about this quite a bit over the last couple weeks. We talked a lot about this level right here, which was pretty darn important. And how I said that we were likely going to come back down and then retest it, and that's exactly what we did. So this is classic, right? So we broke through, we came down, and if I go to a smaller time frame, you're going to see that this really played out pretty well. So we were talking about our resistance we broke through, came down, we were doing a lot of consolidation above it, and then I was like, okay, well, you're going to want to open up that position right here at about 7.6 cents. Personally, if you're on the server, you knew this, I had a buy sitting at about 7,500. We'll call them microcents, 0.00075. That's where I had my buy order, and it had been sitting there for a long, long time. I sold up here, and I was waiting for this buy to occur, and actually I got to the point where I wasn't sure that it was going to happen because I was expecting something like this to take play, but it didn't. But we did end up getting close to it, but it just took a little longer for that to happen. And then we went up, and then we came down, and we tested this area like a boss, and then we had a good price action off of this. So right now, what my strategy is, okay, well, we just got way past where my target was, which is fantastic. We got past where my target was, and now we're looking at a little bit like this, where we just bounce off of that 618. So I'm going to be expecting that we're going to get a good reaction, a bearish reaction off of this. So I'm trying to close out some of my positions at this point. I'm only reducing a small portion of my position so that I can reaccumulate down lower. I would expect that we're likely going to come back down here to about 85.50. So that's where I'm going to be setting my buys. So again, I'm trying to sell at 97. I have a 98 and a 9900 also as well. I would expect the 9700 to fill. We're getting close to it. We're sitting here at 9650. For us to get to 9700 it seems likely. It seems like it's going to happen. I'm going to be coming down here to 8552 to reaccumulate, because what this looks like to me is a plain and simple A, B, and then we're going to come down here to the C. The amount of time it takes to get down there is still remains to be seen. But this is very clear that we had a nice 1, 2, and then we had a 3, and we're coming down here for the 4. So this level should not be penetrated, because this is what I'm expecting to be my 1 wave. So again, taking a look down here, all the way down here from the bottom, we've got a 1, and then we've got a 2 down here. And then we're going up here for the 3, coming down for the 4, and then we're going to go up for the 5. So that's going to be basically what I'm going to be looking for. And if this were to happen, one of the ways that I'm going to catch my target for my 5th wave, so let me just go ahead and expand this just a little bit so we can see this. And I'm actually going to move to a 3-hour time frame so we can see this just a little bit better here. I'm going to measure my 3 wave, and I'm going to be looking for that target on my 5. So down here is the bottom of my 3, going up here to the 4. It's going to be approximate. I'm going to be looking at 11,000. So right up here is where I'm going to be looking to get out. So I'm going to go ahead and move this back, because this has already fulfilled. It's already completed, and it was perfect. And so now I'm going to be taking a look down here at the negative 236, and I'm going to be looking to get out at 11,000 right here. That's going to be a nice area that I'm going to be looking for. The nice thing about that, that's sitting right there at the 50% of the larger wave 3 move. Although wave 4s usually stop at about the 382, which actually this one did a pretty good job of doing that. So it may not get this low, and this has happened to me before, where I will project a lower rebuy and it doesn't quite get there. But I will be looking to reaccumulate in this zone anyway. As soon as we get a bearish reaction off of this, and then we finally have a good spring, I'll be looking to pop back into this position if it doesn't get all the way down here to the 8,500 level. That's again what I'm looking at for holochain. I would be looking to get out of this position at 11,000, and then again, I've been holding this for a long time, and not that I'm anxious to get out, but I am anxious to move on to other opportunities. So that's kind of what I'm looking for as far as holochain goes. All right. Sitting here at 13.5 minutes. Let's go ahead and move on to Cardano. Cardano, I'm going to move Cardano versus Bitcoin. I'm going to look at the 12-hour chart. And Cardano versus Bitcoin on the 12-hour chart, this does not look all that great, but I'm going to pay attention to a couple levels here. This is going to be an important level I'm going to be paying attention to. It's basically sitting right here at 1,000, just shy of 1,000, about 975 Satoshis. I have a hard time being bullish on something that looks like this, right? So this level is important, as is this level right here. This level right here at about 580 Satoshis. Let's just go ahead and pop that here. I'm going to look at this level. Actually, yeah, I guess I would say lucky 666. So this was our support that we found between 666 and 600 back in December of 2017. We're currently trading under that. We were, and actually, I first bought Cardano at about 440 Satoshis back in 2017. And, it's hard to believe that we're all the way back here. But from this point, there's a couple different a couple different ways I want to take a look at this. First, let's start here from the top and let's work our way down and see if we have a technical pivot down here. So again, we're going to start all the way up here. We're going to come all the way down here. And if we take a look at that, we're going into negative territory, so that's not valid. Let's go ahead and take a look from here and see where we go. All right, so we have basically 50%. Not a whole lot there that we can really take a look at. So at this point, the things that I guess we really have to pay attention to are our support and resistance levels. This level right here, which is where we wicked on the first day it was open, and we had support here, and then we found resistance here, not once, but twice. This level is pretty important. That's at 1900 Satoshis. But as far as where we're at right now, gosh, I hate to say that it goes lower, but and maybe it doesn't, but you definitely have a little bit of this going on, and it does look a little bit symmetrical, which tends to lean towards a continuation. So there is possibility that we do find our way moving further down. If we take a look at our trend based on this current move after our last impulse, this it does look like it's almost done, but again, once you get down here into like 200 or 185 Satoshis, which, gosh, could be where it goes. You're not in the negative territory, you're still in the positive territory, but that's about 50% down from where we're even currently at. So if we do happen to break this trend line on a daily time frame, I would expect us to go much lower, to closer to 200 Satoshis. If we break above this, and more importantly, if we're able to break this resistance level right here at 540 Satoshis, I would expect a move from 540 to at least 660. Then again, we're looking to see as we're moving out of this. Would I take any trades here? No, I absolutely would not. Right now, this looks bearish as bearish can be. And Cardano, unfortunately, because I love the project, I love the people, except, Haas does tend to be a little bit of a, an interesting character. But I do love the project, and I think proof of stake is good for the future. But yeah, right now I have a hard time being super bullish right now on Cardano. So again, it is very possible that that we do fall 50% from where we're at right now. I would say that in order for me to get bullish on Cardano, what I would want to see is something that would look a little bit like this: a test of this bottom channel, move up here, and then we test this as support. We move up here, and then we test this as support. And once that happens, I would expect us to move back up to 1,000. And if that happens, you're still looking at, from here on that retrace, you're still looking at about a 50% move. Do you risk getting that move from down here, and instead of getting 50%, you're now looking at over 100%? I don't know that I would risk that. I would wait for the confirmation. Maybe you can take a small trade here at 542 after we swing high and retest it, and then add to your position at 665 to get an average entry somewhere around 600 or 614. So that's something that I might consider. But after it does this, I would have no problem seeing this go back up to 975 or maybe even 1200. That's possible. Although I would expect this area here to be pretty strong resistance. So again, this level right here is going to be pretty strong resistance, in my opinion, on our way back up. So this would be our bearish throwback, similar to what Bitcoin is likely going to be doing versus the US dollar here. If it goes back to 9,000, I would expect that to be a bearish throwback, which will eventually break down, and then potentially we get our levels down closer to that 200 to 300 range. So be very careful with Cardano, because I do think it does have that potential to be a little devastating if you are trying to catch long positions down here, because it would be very easy for you to lose another 50% of your value. So just be very careful. Set your stop losses. If you do buy here at 478, you'd be looking to stop loss somewhere, and I would count this level right here at 437. So you're looking at about 50 Satoshis lost if you were to take the trade right now. That would be the trade setup that I would be looking for if you absolutely had to get into a trade, although I do think there are better assets to get into right now. I wouldn't look at Cardano at the moment. All right, let's take a look at IOTA. And honestly, this is the first time I've looked at IOTA since 2018 probably. So looking at IOTA on the daily time frame, it does look, a little similar to others. This I'm just going to be plotting out some of my support and resistance levels. This is going to be a clear one right here, because what we had on this one, which is really quite interesting, we had good support there. We broke through it, came back up. We didn't even quite retest it. We did a good front run on that. But when we came back down, this was support again, and then we finally broke through before we created two resistance levels right here. And let me just zoom in on this so we can see this just a little bit better. So again, we had support, a front run of support, then we had lots of support here for several days. Actually, this probably spanned the course of a couple weeks in December. We had a good run in December, and then in January started the bleed. Then we broke through, and then we had resistance. Now we're coming back down. And this again, I would say this looks a little similar to what Cardano looks like, although it looks a little bit. Yeah, I'm having a hard time putting this together. Actually, it looks like, actually IOTA does look like it wants to move higher from here, from what I can see. So if I take this from a low point and we're looking at a 1 and then over here to a 2, yeah, I would say that we are going to be moving higher. I would say IOTA does have an opportunity to move higher. Right here, this level would be that level I would be looking at, although this is an important one as well, but this does seem to be decent support for the time being. So again, this is a sign of a support resistance flip where we had our resistance right here and then we kind of broke through it. Now we're finding support. You could call this a little bit of a flag going on here. So as far as IOTA versus Bitcoin goes, I would expect from this point to this point to be our swing, and now we're finding support at the 236, potentially a wick down here to the 382 at 3029. That would be a good, nice area at 3000 to pull back to. But so this could be A, B, and then moving our way down here to the C, then eventually looking ourselves back up here to about 3800 to 4200. So this would be the next area that I would be looking for. So that could be a potential trade to take, actually. I'm going to say right here at 3029 at a 382. I would say my stop loss is going to be right here at this level. So that's going to be a good level at about 2750, this level right here. Although I don't think it's going to get quite that low. And we're talking days for this, right? So this isn't something that's going to happen immediately. And then I would be looking to take profit in this zone right here, which is going to be basically where our support was, where we finally broke through. So about this level right here at about 4100, that's going to be where I would be looking to take my last profit at 4100. Of course, you'll want to take it along the way. So that's estimated at about 1404. So you're looking at about 35% move, moving ourselves down here to the 382 on that Fibonacci retrace of a potential 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, what I'm looking at here from an Elliott perspective is a 1 and a 2, a 3, and then again, we're looking at an A, B, C potentially coming down here to the 382 with a stop loss basically right here at the top of this wave 1 and moving ourselves all the way back up here to our 5. So that could be where we land with this. I would take profit at 38.70. I would take my last profit at about 4100. So that's a decent trade setup. So I guess that's a shout out to Kryptonite for pulling that out. That's a good one. All right. So we're now sitting here about 24 minutes into the video. Let's take a look at NANO. And NANO, that's one I haven't looked at for a while either. So for this one, we're taking a look at the daily. Let's move to a 3-day here so we can see with this a little more clarity. We definitely have support and resistance right here. And then we have support and resistance flip once again right here. And it would look to be, we have an interesting level there that isn't very clear here. But again, if we look at it from a closer time frame, or a closer view here, we had our support there, and this is on a 3-day time frame. So we had support and then we fell through, and we kind of blew through it as resistance as well, which is why I think this is an interesting level of support and resistance, although it is an area of support and resistance. But we wicked up here to this level, which is going to be our resistance. So now let's move forward where we're at. And again, this is going to be our resistance again right here. And this level right here, which was a front run of resistance there at about 1500. I'm not seeing any impulsive moves on this as of yet. And if anything, what I do see is more resistance in this level here. So just to point this out, we have, and let me move to a daily time frame so that this looks a little clearer. So on the daily time frame, it's actually pretty clear. We have lots of support that we found here. We had a little bit of a liquidity hunt, and we saw a good reaction off of that right here, which was eventually rejected. And then we have likely there's probably some bearish divergence on this that took us down back into the liquidity pool, which is actually where we're at right now. And then when we attempted to get out of it, we found resistance again. So Nano for me is not a good trade to be in. I would not suggest buying Nano in this area. And if you were, you'd be looking for rejection here at 1,000. So we're sitting right here at 997, 1,070. And again, for a good trade setup on this one, just like some of the others, I would be looking for a daily closure above and then a swing test, and then look for the move up here to about 1,500. So that's going to be what I would be looking at on Nano. Just like others on the server, it's a good project that I like. Quick and cheap payments, potential 40% move on this. And again, I would set this stop loss to probably be right around here on the daily. So you're looking at a 10% loss for a potential 40% gain. If you like those odds, then that's up to you. Again, this is just my opinion. But yeah, I would be looking for this. If anything, take profit there, reaccumulate. But right now, I'm not seeing any bullish impulses on this as well. Just in the last couple of weeks, we've created some new lows down here on dailies, and that's not necessarily a good thing. One could pull out the curve here and say, oh, but you know what? We're creating a parabola. All right, maybe. We do have some consolidation happening here in this zone. As long as we stay above this level right here, which is at about 977, which is where I'm looking at for my stop loss, then I would say that likely we have an opportunity, but I would still wait for the confirmation to get above this resistance level, which we were just rejected off of here on the 15th and also on the 17th. Just last week we were rejected here. So unless we can get above this, I wouldn't take any trades on Nano. All right, let's move on to Ripple. We're 27.5 minutes into this video. All right, so 27.5 minutes in, we're going to talk about Ripple. We see a clear level of support resistance flip right here. So again, on Ripple, and I'm not going to be like an XRP army guy or anything like that. I'm just strictly looking at this from technicals. I was bullish when we came down here to 2,400, and we had a good reaction off of that. But again, we had lots of support here. Then it was counted as resistance in this area, and then we broke down, and I was seeing some bullish divergence around 2,400 or so. This is when I was telling everybody to get in at 2,400, and that was actually when Bitcoin was at 24 cents, because I was making the Ripple is at 2,400 Satoshis, Bitcoin is at $10,000, so Ripple is at 24 cents. I remember making that analogy. So I was telling everybody buying at 2,400 Satoshis, also at 24 cents, and right now Ripple is at 29 cents, which isn't substantial, but nonetheless, it's still up from where I was talking about all this. And as far as a Bitcoin perspective goes, it's higher. Not many altcoins can say that, but we had resistance here, and then what we did is we came down and then we moved up, and now I'm expecting a retest here and then for us to move higher. Now, how high are we going to go from here? I think it is likely that we retest this level right here at about 4,100 Satoshis. If we're able to break that level, our next area is going to be about 4,600 Satoshis. And of course, our final level to be really taking a look at is about 5,400 Satoshis. I'm not going to be projecting any higher than that for the time being, but what you can see, we've got lots of support here in this level. This was a good level of support. We had a huge reaction off of that. Then when we came back down, it was support, but we eventually fell through it, and we didn't have that follow through that we had back here in September of 2018. The last level, if you're planning on doing the whole moonbag thing, 6100, 6200, that's the level that I would be looking at, because this was support, resistance in this level. Of course, it flew through that level right here, but that was a nuance. That's the exception, not the rule. So again, on Ripple, I would be looking for that retest down here of about 3400, 3500. Right now we're at 3561, and then potentially moving higher from there. As most of you know, and maybe this is not good to say this, but I am a bull on Ripple down here. But of course, if you didn't buy when I was talking about buying, when I was giving my personal opinion and not financial advice on buying Ripple at 24 cents, buying it at 2,400 Satoshis, then I would be very cautious buying up here, right? So I always tell people on the server, and I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping things up here. We're half an hour in. I always tell people on the server not to get greedy, right? So I would be very skeptical about buying up here unless you're going to do a swing on a retrace. Sure, there is a trade setup to be had here, but the better buy was down here at 2,400 Satoshis. So just be very careful buying up here, because as Ripple can move up very fast, it can move down just as fast, although Ripple tends to be one of those that does tend to do a little bit of a slow bleed. It doesn't tend to move down super fast. It moves up fast, but tends to move down really slow. But we do have a decent amount of price action here. So I think there is a possibility that we're going to bounce there. Set your stop losses accordingly. So if I zoom in here and you wanted to take a trade like this, I would be getting in as close to 34.50 as possible. So we'll pop that in there. From a stop loss, gosh, this is another 10% loss. So be very careful at 3,100 Satoshis, but then you would be definitely looking for higher targets. So potential 9% loss for either a 19% gain, or if you're going to go higher to this 4,600 mark, there's a 35% gain to be had there. You just got to be very careful waiting for this level to occur, even though that is a potential 57% gain. You want to take profit on these levels. Take profit at 20%, take profit at 35%. And then, of course, if you want to wait for that 57%, you can do that. Sure, it's a 6-to-1 ratio, but don't be too greedy, right? So these resistance levels are here for a reason. So be very careful. I'm going to go ahead and leave this PNL on here, and I can revisit that at a later time. But as we're 32 minutes in, thanks for watching. I do see that we have a good number of viewers right now, comparatively speaking. I don't aim to be the YouTube guy like some others are. I like to keep it real, and I like to have fun with this, right? And so, feel free to like, subscribe, share. I'm not looking for 100 million subscribers or anything like that. I'm just looking to continue to spread the word. And if you'd like to join our Discord community, feel free to ask for an invite, and I'll be more than happy to send you one. It doesn't cost anything to join. So, I'll talk to you all later. Talk to you on the Discord, and